Welcome back to the book club with Xeno and Mozzie. Again, we're going Dresden book Full Moon, chapters 21 to 27 today. Hope you're ready. All right. How are we doing today?
Still isn't live for me.
No?
No. Keep refreshing it. Go live for mine. It might just, yeah, no, it's just, I was going to say, just me catching up. It's fine. Switch mine over to the Tasty Jams. Hello. Greetings. Greetings and salutations. How are you doing? How are you doing this fine weekend?
I'm all right.
Right. Right. My microphone is muted. Why is that muted?
Sound is important. It's a key component.
No, I'm not
of
muted.
the stream.
You're muted. Why are you muted? Weird. There it is. It's up now.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, you hear me, you just didn't hear him. But it is fixed. Good to go. Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Christy, Looney.
Good to go.
Little lady,
Perfect.
Tina.
Anything
Wander.
needs any rebalancing? How's everyone doing?
Rebalanced. I don't know why my camera just looks so zoomed in on my stream, but you know what? That's fine. You get to see all of me up close. It's fine. It's fine. We have a good weekend?
So
Has everyone
far,
had their
so good.
coffee? I clean my glasses.
Finishing off another cup.
Ooh. Had my coffee this morning and now I'm just on agua. On agua. We so it rained all day yesterday and well into the night, and our back road was flooded. So we went up to look this morning, and they got, when I ended stream last night, it was probably about 11:30ish my time when I actually walked over to the house. And I heard the guy who has the excavator who clears the snow and stuff. I heard him working on the road, and I was like, damn, to be working that late, it still had to be a mess. It's the back road's not really passable. It's still pretty bad, but the front road's fine. So, well, it's fixed, I should say. So no
Hey.
biggie, but it was quite a mess. Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting place to live where you have to wait for
Oh yeah.
the roads to be cleaned up like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you have to have a relaxed schedule. Like if you're one of those people that's just like, I need to be here at this time, you're not gonna. Sometimes it's just not gonna happen. Wander Wave. Hello, Wander. Tina, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm on the phone. Ooh. Who are you on the phone with?
This guy.
Yeah, so that was my night. How was your night? Good pathing? You said you had a little bit of a
Yeah, I had a
start.
bit of a migraine going in and just super beat because I think I woke up too early. Woke up at like just couldn't sleep. So the rest of the day was kind of a bit draggy, but I mean, got some path in, got it going. It was kind of rough with the brand new build that I was trying out. But other than that, we're fine.
Nice. Nice.
How did the 12-hour
It was
go for
good.
you?
Yeah. It was good. Had fun in Stranded Alien Dawn, then we hunted. You jumped off and I played two games with Joe and Looney, and then for the game of wheels we played backpack battles, and then
I love
2 Point
backpack.
Hospital.
I watched a bit of the backpack battles. I love that game. That game looks so fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's hard for me to stream sometimes because I don't explain what I'm doing and I do things really fast. So I try to slow it down and time it out. Is that my new pet name for you, Wander? Apparently, I'm Penis Bestie. I like it. I accept my title. Lurking and playing Stranded Deep. Oh, right. I was like, what is Stranded Deep? Yeah, it's that aquatic game. Oh, that's who she's on the phone with. See. I was making a joke because I thought she was just watching us on her phone, not actually talking on the phone. So she's talking to her penis bestie. Got it. Okay then. Now I'm caught up. I was like, I'm not really sure how to take that pet name, but you know what? Sure, why not?
Like that you
I'm
rolled
not gonna
with
say
it.
no.
We're like, all right.
Yeah, I
Sounds
become
good.
bestie status. Sure, I'll accept it. Um, I'm waiting for my phone to. There we go. Yeah. So, I guess we should like do a proper intro and whatnot. You want to do the intro?
Sure.
Go for it.
Right on. Okay. Welcome everybody back to the book club, going over the Dresden Files Full Moon, chapters 21 through 27 today. I am Xeno, and this is Mozzie.
Aye,
Both directions.
Anyway, yes, by Jim Butcher. It's kind of funny how crazy chaotic this book has been. Not that the first book wasn't. First book was pretty crazy
This one's
at a lot of points.
still
Bonkers.
even nuttier. This is gone off
Yeah,
the rails.
it's absolutely bananas. Um, I won't lie. I read 2 chapters on Monday or something like that, and 5 chapters this morning. I didn't read anything last night. I couldn't focus. So, oh, just wait. Ooh, meh. Um, I love how this started off as well. So in step back for a second. Previous chapter, they were getting away. They being Susan, Dresden, and Tara were driving away from the precinct after Finn's devastation, carnage, whatever you want to call it. So they're driving away, and I think Dresden fell asleep. Yeah, Dresden fell asleep, and he's woken up by Tara and Susan saying that someone's following them. And like one of the very first, though, the first segment of chapter 21 was Dresden moaning, "It never rains," and Tara responding, "It's raining right now. I don't think he is coherent." And I was like, yeah, that's about on par for Tara.
Yeah.
Still have no idea what Tara is other than she's not human. And he's like, "It's a figure of speech." Oh yeah, he said it's a figure of speech. You really don't know anything about humans, do you? And she just kind of like gives him a snide remark. But yeah, they're being followed by, and he looks back and he sees the 2 vehicles. Tara remarking that they are moving like predators, which at this point, I mean, we've met a lot of predators, but there's really only
one group.
There's really only one main one that would be following in vehicles and acting like predators that I thought of. And then Tara says, "I feel them. They're dangerous." So Dresden does a little quick thinking. He pulls out the what was that potion called? It was the other potion he hasn't used yet.
Revitalizing potion.
Yeah, something like that.
Cup of coffee and
yeah, magic cup of coffee or whatever. So he tells Susan to pull off the freeway. He gathers up all his things, and he says, "Oh." And then she was like, "Then what?" He's like, "Call the cops." And then he badass rolls out of the car. I feel like he full committed. It's called Pick Me Up. Okay, yeah, Pick Me Up.
I love how he described it. He's like, don't look at me like that. It was a good idea, okay? It was fine at the time.
yeah. At the time, it was a good idea. And he tells Susan and Tara. Actually, technically, he told Tara, "I'll meet you where the Cub Scouts meet." So the old warehouse that he saw them originally. Yeah, and then he assumes that same thing we did, that Parker and the Street Wolves, I think is what they're called, are the ones that are following them. And Ninja rolls out, and gets himself prepared with his blasting rod. And sure enough, here comes a truck with Parker Flatnose, which I love his nickname for him.
Because he
And the
smashed his
psycho chick.
face.
Yeah, because he punched him in the face. So he's like, "Yep, that's Flatnose." Come pulling up in a pickup truck. So he forces the potion down, which I thought was funny. He said it tasted like stale cardboard and old pizza and burnt coffee beans. Burnt coffee beans makes sense. The stale cardboard and the old pizza. I guess I could understand the old pizza. Sorry. But I was like, stale cardboard. Oh, I guess that's the box for the pizza, maybe. That makes sense.
Yeah, and all those weird ingredients, and then he squeezes that down and just shoots through it like an amoeba of energy engulfing the inside of him, which is just super cool. So he's all pumped up.
My fatigue quite simply vanished, and energy came rushing into me. Sounds like a hell of a cup of coffee, let me tell you. I don't know why, but I imagine it's like the consistency of Jell-O too. Like it's not really a liquid. You kind of have to like chew it a little bit, and you're like, I don't know, maybe just me. Hey Becca, how's it going?
Hey Becca.
They don't describe that at all, but that's just what my brain kind of pictured. I have no idea. Oh yeah,
so he gets in and he kind of crouches in the bushes waiting for the car, and he sees Parker going by, and he like smiles at him, gives him a little smirky. He's like, "Oh hi," and Parker's like, what?" He raises his blasting rod, blows the tires off the car all at the same time.
All at the same time. I wrote this down. I was like curious why. I considered how much I love autumn and the and I composed a brief poem while he was like hunkered down the grass. He could just smell everything, like the grass, the smell of Chicago's stink. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, yeah, I briefly like that's how much energy is just going through him. Is just like, and I composed a brief poem about it. I thought it was great. Hey OG, how's it going?
Hey OG.
We're in the library. We're in our library. It's a weird kind of library. I'm just say that.
It's a beautiful kind of library. There's magic, the special things for us special gamers.
But you're right. He murmured the phrase in a language that he did not know and blew out the tires. And I was like, yes. And the tires the whole truck just went ass over tea kettle and just rolled through in just a horrible wreck. Well, I say horrible, but the three of them walked out fine.
These guys are freak shows that seemingly during the full moon they just heal almost instantly.
Oh, that's right. This is a full moon day. There's not night yet, but it is the day of a full moon. So yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, and then Dresden had like this moment of like pride. He's like, that should do it. And then they just kind of like get up and we're just like, yeah, they don't like rush at him, but they compose themselves to kind of like confront him.
This was the most his pretty I would say his most badass like standoff, where he's just like whistling his little ditty and flipping his blasting rod in his hand at him, and then they get out of the car and they just start. Flatnose is like, "Oh, it's over, man. I'm gonna start shooting him." Whips out his gun, starts shooting. He just holds his hand up, starts deflecting the bullets with his shield bracelet, just
right
while he's still whistling,
hanging them off. Because we already know how much of a loose cannon Flatnose and the woman is. I think you just called her like the bloodthirsty woman. We know both how like unhinged those two are.
Yeah.
Because she is the one who started the riot-ish thing, like the bloodthirst of all of them when Dresden quite literally walked into the wolves' den. We only know out of all of them, Parker is like the most level-headed, which is, if you guys don't remember, it's the leader of the street wolves. Yeah, that scene was just so cool. I continued walking forward as bullets bounced off my shield. Oh yeah, and then the shorter man, which is Parker, said, "Remember why we're here? He's mine." Which again, previously, when Dresden walked into their den, riled them up, and escaped. And we learned this from the soul gaze that Dresden did with Parker. All the members, the gang members, now hold Parker, the leader, accountable. And if he doesn't kill Dresden, they're going to kill him. Essentially, is what's going on. What Dresden thinks is going on. I went back a page. Whoops. But yeah, Dresden could feel the wild, savage energy just gathering around these three, and that's kind of more towards what you were saying about the werewolves and the full moon, and even during the day, it's just like they're just amped up and just super
and even
rated out.
At the part that you just mentioned, so Flatnose, tried to shoot him, and Parker's like, "No, he's mine." And when Parker like moves his arm, he like breaks his arm because he hears the bone crunching. He's like, "Ah!"
He karate chopped his arm.
But
I forgot about that.
I mean, it just heals. Obviously, that's why he's like, "I don't care." Just whack, just smacks him around.
I forgot about this part too. So much of like the little details that I forget. Also, the crazy woman said, does she say anything or does she start to say something? I think she starts to say something, and Dresden just magically smacks her on the mouth.
Yeah,
and she immediately shuts up.
Yeah, that's so good.
That was so badass. Yeah, and then Dresden was acting very cocky. He said, "I mean, you have to smile at idiots and children." It's like, oh yes, these littler beings. I'm cool and magic and powerful, which I thought was kind of funny because it builds up to a moment. And then like it's those little breadcrumbs that Jim Butcher likes to add. He said, or Dresden thought, there's something nagging at the back of my mind, a detail I had forgotten. And that was it. And then like the interaction keeps going around. He's a wolf. It's true. I'm an expert on all things woven in nature. And they have this like banter, Dresden and Parker back and forth. And Parker almost seems like amused, I feel like he's enjoying the back and forth. He's not getting angry, at least not immediately. And they're just like kind of had this witty banter. Listening to music as well. Oh, at this point, and I think it was mostly because of the spell. Well, all the spells that have been going on so far. Dresden feels that sanity return in a rush, and the potion is giving out on me. That seemed really fast because, like, in the other potions he's used, they haven't lasted forever, but they have lasted quite a while. But this one, I don't know if it's just because of his fatigue, because he's gone through so much already, or if maybe it's just the potion itself. It's wearing off really fast, and he just feels like everything's slowed down and just becomes sluggish and stuff. Yeah, this is the part. And he's kind of still going back and forth with Parker, but Harry's becoming less and less confident of him winning the situation.
Well, if we think about like the way that it happened, like last book, he used a good amount of power, and then he was pretty much like that was everything he had. And this time around, he had like done the Mega Blast, fought with the Loop Garou, and then he blew all the tires off. He chugged this potion down, so he felt all jazzed up, slapping, doing all this cool magic stuff. And then, well, he just finally his magic just gives out on him, and he's just
reached his absolute breaking point. And in kind of that like backpedaling, he says to Parker, "I didn't really mean to show up at your garage. Hell, I wouldn't have been there at all if Denton's goon hadn't turned me onto the idea." And I was like, "Ha! Xeno said it." And he's just backpedaling, and oh yeah, and because his magic is finally given out, he pulls a gun. His
Smith and Wesson.
I don't remember what kind of gun it is. Yeah, Smith and Wesson. Sorry, my battery's dying. It's fine. We can get through this. Try as a last-ditch effort to try and hold him back, and he's telling him stop where you are. He didn't. He took a step forward. So I shot him, and he shoots him right in the kneecap, which first of all just makes me cringe to begin with. But it exploded in a burst of blood, and he. I don't think even Parker went down. Really, not fully down. He just drew his leg beneath him and ignoring the ruined knee. Yeah, he just kind of like takes it, which kind of shows just how strong he is. And they're still having this back and forth. And I think even he said, he's like, "You got balls, kid," which is just so classic of the banter. And Parker, I think the mental picture I have of Parker just kind of fits that so perfectly. Just like this old, gruff, badass dude. He's like, "Yeah, you remind me of me, kid." Um, and then Parker finally is like, "Yeah, there's something that you really missed and you're not paying attention to." And he's like, "Yeah, what's that?" There's two cars behind you. And then all of a sudden Dresden's like, "Oh, that's what I forgot." And I don't even think it says who hit him from behind, but whoever the group from the second car just upon him, these three are upon him, and they're just beating him. They said it says they wanted to hurt me and they were good at it. They didn't want to kill him, but they just wanted to hurt him because obviously, like these monsters, they could have just ripped him apart immediately, but they were just beating on him and kicking on him. Um, and then eventually, when Dresden just couldn't handle it anymore, he stopped moving, and at that point, Parker shoved people off when he stopped moving. So that alone was like they don't want to kill him, or they need him alive for something. Not sure what, because
Mostly just
according
Parker
to
wanted to kill him himself, I think. Make it slow.
yeah, that makes sense to make sure that to reassert his dominance. I think would
Yeah,
be the best way to
exactly.
put it. Boom, boom. Oh yeah, so they kind of scoop up what's left of Dresden's conscious body, put him in one of the cars in the trunk. I assume it's the second one because the first one, oh no, it had to be the second one. The first one just rolled over in the ditch. They put him in the trunk of the second car, and as he was still conscious, or as they were taking him over there, he gets a sight of a car going by, and it is a young, strained, speckled face with freckles, red hair, and ears big. It was the FBI agent Roger Harris, which is the spry little redhead investigator. But the sedan rolled on by without even without even slowing, and Harris didn't look over me. I mean, obviously he knows he's there. They've been following him or the street wolves, or maybe even both. What's up, Mustafa? How you doing? But they're not going to do anything to help Harry. So that also kind of reinforces what you were saying in a previous stream, that the FBI set him up. We don't know why, and we don't know. Well, we kind of guess, like they assumed the street wolves were going to kill him, but again, we don't know why exactly they did that. But a lot of the pieces are starting to fall into place for him as he blacks out as the trunk closes. How? I mean, we have a confirmation. That's the end of the chapter. We have a confirmation that now the FBI are not part of the good people, which we suspected, and definitely you suspected from. I'd say probably the very beginning, actually, because our first interaction with them, the chick, Ben,
Yeah.
Agent Ben, almost shot Murphy.
Yeah,
Technically
and
both.
that's just unhinged already, especially for an FBI
Mhm.
agent who's supposed to be like the top notch.
Oh, actually, she did shoot Dresden as well when he fled away from the car. Agent Ben shot Dresden in the shoulder. Yeah, in the shoulder.
Yep. And then as soon as he was escaping,
she's-
she just immediately started firing. She just was like out to
Yeah.
kill.
So we know she's unhinged, and now it's just kind of confirmed that they're not necessarily the good guys.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly what they are. How cool is that truck?
Just blowing
exploding
all the
tire,
wheels
though?
off at the same time. I mean, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of, again, going fancy, going overboard a little bit. And maybe weakening himself. Like he lost his ability to use magic for who knows how long.
I think I think this is the first time that he has used magic to the extreme and not accidentally. Like he accidentally shot the elevator up. He accidentally did the little wind tornado that threw Tara and Finn. He I don't know if it was accidentally that he threw Finn in his loop guru form through literally buildings. I don't know if that one was
That was
an
totally
accident.
intended. That was
Yeah.
him focusing all of his power into his rod.
So I guess it's not the first time he's gone all out with a spell. I was thinking maybe if this was the first time he went all out with a spell, maybe that explains why he was so exhausted. But no, the building throwing someone through, well, not someone, a beast through multiple buildings is definitely more unhinged. That was
Yeah,
pretty
he's
cool.
just
But yeah, I
tired. I
thought
mean,
it was really cool thing.
he's literally only gotten what 30 minutes, maybe, of a slight nap in the car before this happened.
If
So
that,
yeah, if that.
yeah, if that, and he's been going nonstop for 48 hours more. I don't. It's been a long time.
That potion did not last very long.
No, it did not. And knowing Bob, I'm pretty sure it wasn't on the potion. I'm pretty sure the potion was working as intended, but he was just that exhausted.
Like Bob did say, "Ooh, hard to do," in that. Like, ooh.
That's true, he did. Yeah. Because he was like nothing can compare to a full night's sleep, but this is the next best thing. So, yeah. Hey, what's up, Manu? How's it going, dude? Welcome. Harry is always tired. You know, I'm starting to get that feeling that Harry never gets a full night's rest.
Seemingly.
So yeah, rolling into chapter 22, he wakes up. Well, first of all, he's talking about like how have you ever been to the point where your body literally just stops and your mind just can't function anymore and you just black out? But he wakes up to the smell of motor oil, which immediately he's like, that's not a good sign. But he wakes up to himself tied to a beam with duct tape, like almost everywhere. He said his ankles were duct taped, below and above his knees were duct taped. His hands, I think even maybe like his arms were duct taped behind him around the beam. And he's got, I think he had a bag on his head. I'm not sure about that, but he has he had like he had a blanket around him or something like that. And he has a bag, an empty bag that had blood in it, hanging up above him. When he says a bag, I just picture like a grocery bag. This very much like DIY IV setup. But they hooked him up to a blood IV and stuck him in there. So they clearly don't want him to die yet. But now that he's back at well, for what he sees, the Street Wolves garage, the full moon garage is what it was called, where he walked into their den in previous chapters. Why they wouldn't have just killed him here? I feel like
And they bandaged
you
him
said
up.
like, they fixed him well as much as possible. I'm thinking maybe like Parker needs like it to be like a fair one-on-one fight to
That's
really
what that was my first
reestablish.
idea. Like, I'm gonna show my dominance. We'll get them all patched back up and.
Yeah, because he just beats a unconscious dude. Like, no one's gonna be like, "Yeah, you're so great." Hey, Stumpy, how's it going? How you doing today? So yeah, he's not in a good way. But he is alive and in better shape than he was, in the trunk of the car. He kind of just takes in his surroundings. He's thankful that they used duct tape so he could at least, and because they had to like put an IV in his arm that's also behind him, it left enough wiggle room that he actually was able to break some of the tape, not all of it, not comfortably either, because a lot of it's just against his skin. He's like, yeah, it's just tearing my hair out, which is, I'm trying to stay quiet doing so, but it's not the easiest. and he does say like his dad was a magician, not a wizard. So he kind of taught him how to get out of stuff. Not feeling so great, to be honest, but I'm getting there. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hear that? Yeah. No good. I'm doing well though. Yeah, doing well, thanks. Weekend's going well so far. Um, but he's trying to get out. He's trying to wiggle. He's trying to think of how he can get out. Because if he gets out, then he can run. But like, how far can he actually get away from these dudes? And then he hears the door to the office opening. And when it opens, he hears like some like rock and roll music and some people like talking in the other room. So he knows that there's people close by. And it's Flatnose and Parker walking out. And Flatnose is just like, I still don't know why we can't just put a bullet in him and be done with it. And Parker says, "Stupid." He says, "One, we don't do it without having the others here to see." So kind of like what you were saying, like he needs to reassert his dominance. He needs to be like a one-on-one, and people need to be present to see it, to see him reestablish his alphaness. And two, we don't do it until Marcone's had a chance to see him. Okay, Marcone has come back up, which, I mean, Marcone has like his hands in all the pies, right? Like we know he's connected to Fit McFinn in the Passage Project, Northwest Passage, Northern Passage, whatever it's called. I don't remember.
Northwest Passage Project.
Yeah. So now we have Marcone, and we're like, okay, how is Marcone connected to this? Oh, and even Flatnose asks, like, what does McFinn want with him? And Parker's like, who cares? Doesn't matter. Marcone is, oh yeah, and Flatnose is like, he's just a mobster. Mobsters have been in and out of the town. Like, they're all be mobsters. And Parker's like, no, he's not just your everyday mobster. He doesn't have connections in the city. He has connections everywhere. He's someone who could very easily shut down the street wolves, it sounds like either by himself, like his own people, or, and more likely, get the police involved. So he
could just do everything. He's got the police on his side. He's got the governors. He's got connections everywhere. He's got more money than God, he says. Like, the guy is just like, you don't want to mess
untouchable. Yeah. It would just create problems. Then we get the crazy lady's name, Lana, which I immediately thought Archer. But anyway, Flatnose says maybe. Oh yeah, because Parker's explaining like you don't mess with him, and Flatnose is like maybe, or maybe Lana's right. Maybe you're getting soft, and we're like, oh no, now Parker's dominance as leader of this gang is being tested, and Parker's almost like, do you really want to do this? Like, do you really want to go there? Which it makes it sound like Flatnose has done this before, or maybe there's always been like, maybe not always, but it sounds just recently, because he said like 10 years ago, the Parker I know 10 years ago wouldn't have cared about Marcone, would have just ended him. And Parker says the Parker you know 10 years ago would have led everyone to their death, essentially, wouldn't have kept them alive this long or something, which makes me wonder like how much has changed with the gang and Parker through the last decade. It sounds like a lot. If he's the only one who is able to suppress his rage as a werewolf, he had to go through quite a bit. But either way, Flatnose doesn't back down, so Parker has to put him in his place. We don't know exactly what happened, because at this point, Dresden's still trying to pretend to be asleep, so we can't really see him. Gonna switch lurk mode for a bit. I'll be back. Still enjoy. Oh, thank you, Stumpy. Hope you feel better soon. I hate feeling sick. But they tussle, not very long. Apparently Parker gets him, I assume, in some sort of headlock, or gets a hold of him, Flatnose, and gets him under control. because all he hears is a couple of grunts. The only thing Dresden heard was a couple of grunts and Flatnose yelp. Excuse me. And Parker lets him go, Flatnose go, and says, "Call Tully's and get the others back here before moonrise. We'll have blood tonight." Not sure who Tully. We haven't heard of this Tully's, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I didn't think so, because when I saw the name, I was like, I don't know who that is, and I just didn't know if I just didn't remember. So I assume that's either part of the gang. I don't know if it's Tully's is like a group of people or a person specifically.
Could be a place, could be a person. Who...
That's actually true. I think it might be a place because it's an apostrophe S. That would make more sense. But yeah, they plan that. Sounds like Dresden's not going to last a day. Why they're waiting till night, I'm not really sure. Oh, probably because full moon, he'll transform and he'll kill him in his.
Yeah, see, that's kind of another
form.
question. They haven't really like transformed or anything. Like, and this was all taking place during a full moon. So, like, if they were going to transform, they would have.
So there was the wolf type that didn't change.
Yeah.
They only had the beast mentally, and I think that might be this.
That's group. I feel like we've gotten we get like a seemingly a part of everything here. Next little bit.
Yeah, we do, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, that's because you're right. We haven't seen these ones change at all physically. And then Dresden is just like listening to all this. And
that's right. That's what they were compared to. Yeah. So they're like people, but they're just as real as those berserkers were.
Right. Exactly. I just don't remember the name of those ones. They gave us all the names, but it was hard to keep track of them. But either way,
there was a lot.
There was a lot. Yeah. So Dresden's kind of waiting because he heard Flatnose leave, and he hears and kind of senses Parker's still there, and he's waiting for him to leave, and is just kind of like calculating his options and how to escape. So he eventually decides that he's going to try and antagonize Parker to either leave to cool off, or maybe leave to go get like a bat or something to beat him with, and then he'll use the opportunity. So he starts off with just saying, you certainly have a way with people. You must have read a book or something, which is a great line. Dresden has nothing but great lines. And it does startle Parker, and he's like, so you are alive. And then they continue this banter back and forth. I wanted to highlight all of it and read over it, and I was like, there's too much to it. But it was just pretty good. It was just so fun.
At least as like his ploy, it was just very dangerous at this point to be like, well, just piss him off and see if he'll like, go get a bat to beat the shit out of me with, or he might just rip my heart out right there. But let's go for it.
I'm dead either way, so I might as well use this play. Bob said the ones that don't shift are lycanthropes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Because, we'll get to it in a second. I was going to say, we have the name for another one, but... yeah, so there's like this back and forth, and Dresden's like, how is the knee? And like, I should have aimed higher. And none of that really phases him. But then Dresden really hits a chord with mentioning that he's losing his touch and his control over his gang, and that really pissed him off. And then Dresden seeing the end, he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna push that button again over and over and over. And then he said, or he thinks, the plan is working beautifully, and then he's like, now all I needed to do was for him to leave the room so he calmed down or fetch the instrument. Instead, Parker just spun on his heel, picked up a tire iron, and turned back to me, lifting it high. And he proclaimed that he doesn't care about Marcone, and he doesn't care about this wizard. And Dresden's like, oh no, that worked too well. And he says, I hate when a plan falls apart. He'd also mentioned like this is the the moment where he really sees, or Dresden has seen or sees Parker's rage, like his actual wolf, like I was gonna say form, but it's not really a form. His wolven rage, because his eyes are um, just like, I don't know, brilliant, I guess would be the best way to put it. Just shine with anger. And I think he even said, like, at this moment he recognized that he was stronger and more of a beast than any other member of the gang. And obviously that's why he became the lead. Yeah, he was kind of screwed. That was actually a really short chapter, though. I didn't realize that until I was just thumbing through it, because it was a lot of just like, I guess it was just less go, as in like the first, less action than the previous chapter. But I really enjoyed the banter between Dresden and Parker. I just thought it was really fun, really cool.
Stuck in a bad situation, tied up, just getting ready to meet his fate.
But in the start of chapter 23, someone stops him. Marcone. A voice coming out saying, Mr. Hendricks, please shoot him. Oh, wait, sorry. If Mr. Parker does not put down that tire iron in the next... for some reason, I feel like he has a southern twang. I know he doesn't, but that just kind of Devil at the Crossroads kind of feel to him that I always associate with Marcone. But anyway, he says, if Mr. Parker does not put down the tire iron in the next second or two, please shoot him. And Hendricks is the last bodyguard?
He's the big, the big one.
He's the big one, yeah. But there is...
But it is his last one, yeah.
There is Hendricks, and there was Spike, who died at the beginning of the book. And then... What was the other two? Gimpy?
Yeah,
is that what you called him?
Yeah, Gimpy.
Yeah, Gimpy died in the first book. Spoilers. Hendricks like, yes, sir. And then he braced himself with a shotgun like it was going to do anything because he was so massive. It's just like the recoil is pointless.
I love he it's like he engulfs it in his hand so much that it looks like a handgun. Just it's like a whole shotgun.
Yeah, so the stock looked like a pistol grip in his hands. This dude is massive. It's kind of funny. But yeah, he just fixes the shotgun on Parker, and Marcone's like, that's a 12 gauge riot gun, and it's using solid slug ammunition. So,
and again, we got Marcone letting his knowledge out. He's like, I know about your special qualities and your ability to heal, but I'm pretty sure that shotgun's gonna kill you.
I think he even, well, not yet, but yeah, he did. Yeah, he said, I know about your powers, and this will do enough damage to you that you're not coming back from it. Why did I don't know why. Oh, this is where he saw it in his eyes, where Dresden saw their own berserk loss of control, that... What is this sentence? Hold on. Oh, right. Okay, so Parker's rage made it look like the other rage from the other members were like kids, like kitty tantrums, to the berserk rage that Parker had. I mean, at the very least, it not being the alpha in the room, I feel like was the main thing.
Yeah.
But he did actually. He switched stances almost to get ready to throw the tire iron as well. But he thinks otherwise and starts to, not necessarily calms down, but he decides to not proceed with either killing Dresden immediately or turning it on Big Hendricks here. I love it too so much that even in this moment, Dresden's just like, hi, John, because he knows that he hates being called John from the meeting in their office, or in Dresden's office. Hey, Pi. So yeah, the silver thing, it does apply in this book too, but only to specific werewolves. It has to be an inherited silver that can kill what's called loop gurus, which are the worst of the worst of werewolves, which Parker's not. The lycanthropes, they do have regenerating. They're stronger and they have regenerating powers, but they can still be killed. Like if you chop off their head, they're still dead, from my understanding. I don't think they have any like. You must put a stake through their heart, or they can't cross water or whatever. They're not like vampires, obviously, but and silver and lead would kill them all the same. There just has to be more of it. But yeah, so John Marcone, he said something, and I don't know if I wrote it down. That was even more like what you said. Like he says Loop Guru specifically, and Dresden's like, "How do you know about that?" And he is like, "Well, your report, obviously. Like you gave the report, which has to be copied, and like sent and copied and sent, and it's very easy to get information. So I got your report." Yeah, exactly. Which just goes to show how powerful he is. Oh yeah, and Harley actually called. He got a hold of Marcone's personal number and called him, and Marcone's like, I don't know, like, why Marcone or why Harley thinks Harley McFinn thinks that I'm the one who is responsible for destroying his circle, but he believes it. So now I need protecting. So remember that contract that you spat in my face and got really pissy about? Sign on the dotted line. And he's like, I want to make a deal again. Which I think Dresden just did like one of his snappy remarks immediately.
He was about to. He wanted to, but
that's right. He was about to.
But Parker gets all uppity and starts saying, "No. He's my he's not going anywhere. Yep. There was no letting him go in our previous conversation."
Well, and Marcone adds an extra clause to the agreement, the contract as well. He said that he'll make Murphy's problems go away, like yep. the whole internal affairs and everything. I was looking for a bit. Hey, Pie, appreciate you. Of course, Marcone has moles in the police force. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got hands in all the pies. And Dresden. Oh, I love this so much. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, he adds the thing about getting rid of Murphy's problems, and he Dresden is like, isn't this like why I got involved in the first place, was to help Murphy, and I can make all of her problems go away, which is exactly what Dresden has been saying this whole time. Like even in the first book, it's like, I want to protect Murphy. I don't want her to get in harm's way. She can't be part of like everything that's going on because I would put her in more harm's way. And he made technically 2 promises to Murphy, not to keep her in the dark and not do this anymore. And here he is saying like he's about to make a deal with the devil essentially to help her, to save her. And immediately he's like, no, I thought not like that. She wouldn't want that kind of help. And I was like, oh, he's learning. He's becoming the man we want him to be. I thought it was great. And then he had the moment with Parker, and it was like Parker and Marcone were just like, well, Parker wants him dead. He's not letting Marcone have him, and Marcone isn't leaving without him.
Well, I mean, he would leave without him if
right.
He's not going to agree to the contract.
Sign. And he says that to Parker. He's like, "Don't worry, he's not going to sign it."
He's not even. He's not going to consider. He'd rather die.
Yep, he'd rather die.
Get me a pen.
Yeah, give me a pen. Oh, I completely forgot about this. Before he does that, he tries to cast a spell. On the tools.
That's right. To show him up. Doing like, no way, I'm not signing your crappy thing. But
yeah, and he was gonna like shoot the tools like across like bullets, and all it did was rattle the tools and fall back on the ground. Which, Marcone said, interesting. Perhaps you've been working too hard. Which that scared Dresden bad. And that's when he was like, I have no other out. And he says, where to sign? which Marcone immediately was like, almost like a kid in a candy shop. Really, he got super excited, but he also was like,
Dropped
"Excuse
his
me,
mouth open like, what?
yeah." And he was trying to figure out like, okay, how is this a trick? Like, what
He knew it
what's
was it was.
yeah, he was like, how is he trying to screw me over essentially? And Dresden's like, no, give me a pen. And that's when Parker howled, "The wizard is mine!" and hurled a I think it was just the tire iron that he was holding. He hurled it at Big Man Hendrix, which I thought was interesting. Which makes me wonder if Hendrix isn't what we think he is. Is more than a person, more than a human,
Yeah,
more than human.
he might be special. That for sure. That's what I was
Because
thinking.
he dodged it with
Way
like
faster than he should have been able to.
yeah, for his size even. Like he kind of like something might be going on with him. At least that's how I took it. Um, but then all hell broke loose, and Hendricks just started shooting. I think Marcone pulled out a gun, and then
He pulled out a knife,
Oh,
curved knife.
he did pull out a knife, because it was very serpent-like, and Flatnose was in the shadows at that point, and also jumped into the fight, and then it just broke loose. But in that chaos, um, although that is a really good point. That knife seems so appropriate for Marcone. It also seemed like a very weird weapon for a mobster to use.
It sounds almost like it kind of like so snake like as well as curved knife,
Yeah.
which would be Middle Eastern style, like an assassin. Like the historical references, hashish, or assassin, where it came from.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But Dresden found this moment to be perfect to make his great escape, and he ran out of the garage door directly into Agent Philip Denton. Stood 5 feet away from me in the cold mists of the autumn rain, with the vein in his forehead throbbing. Which that's come up a couple times. Whenever he's like stressed or trying to suppress frustration, it looks like that happens. It reminds me of the tick of the dude in Casino Royale had the vein in his eye. So whenever he was lying, he like held it because his duct broke and he cried blood. Anyway, the vein was throbbing, and there stood Agent Denton, Agent Wilson, and Agent Ben. Agent Wilson being the more portly guy, I think it was.
Balding fat guy.
Yeah. But all three FBI agents. And at that point, then I was like, okay. Because before I was like, there's something going on with them. They may just been trying to use resources to get rid of the gang or try and do something. But at this point, I'm like, no, they're bad guys. There's no reason they should be here like this.
Especially with the next thing he says. The wizard can't escape. We have to kill him.
Kill him. Kill him. Yep. And I was like, oh, okay. I'd have to see the text.
They don't actually say the name of the knife.
No, I don't think they just said it was snake-like.
Just a curved blade that he pulled out. They didn't give any more.
Oh, here it is. Marcone moved like a snake in his zillion-dollar business suit and made a curved knife appear in his hands, which makes me feel like it was like not magical per se, but very like
he was
cloak and dagger.
Yeah, he's very, very able.
Yep, he swept it in an arc that was followed by a spray of blood from Parker's wrist. The lycanthrope howled. So not only is it like he's good with the knife, essentially. Like
he didn't get to the top being a nobody, right?
Right, exactly. Oops, get that. But yeah, Denton says kill him, and at that moment, Wilson and Ben reached into their jacket for what Dresden assumed was going to be a gun. But instead of drawing a gun out of their jackets, they changed. It happened fast, nothing like you see in the movies. One moment there was two human beings standing there, and the next there was a flicker of shadow and a pair of enormous gaunt wolves. One the gray of Ben's mane, one the same brown as Wilson's receding hairline. So Ben and Wilson just turn into these, what I imagine is dire wolf size. Like they're wolves, but they're big, wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they hurl towards him, and Dresden is able to throw himself back in, close the door, and they slam into it. And this is where, I'm pretty sure I said previously, hell broke loose. This is where the hell actually breaks loose. Because there was... Now we have Parker. Well, we have the Street Wolves. We have Marcone. Now we have FBI. Now on top of it, we have the other Street Wolves that are pulling in on, we assume, motorcycles, because it just says that he heard the sudden thunder of dozens of engines and sharp, heavy sounds of gunfire. So trucks, bikes, don't know. But the other reinforcements for the Street Wolves arrive, and the garage doors open, and the chaos of fighting outside moves inside as well. And it's just absolutely berserk. Yeah, and then I always really enjoy the last lines of the chapters because there's always something witty that I just really enjoy. And this one, it's talk about frying pans and fires, and I was like, yes, just yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now we've seen, we got so many answers in such a short amount of time and in a very interesting way that it's just like, oh, all these pieces are falling in the puzzle. The order isn't there yet, but we have all these pieces of bits. It's like, how is Marcone, like, where does he fit in the situation? Where were the Street Wolves? Because the Street Wolves initially weren't really... I didn't feel like they were part of the problem. They were just like, yeah, we're like a werewolf like street gang, but we didn't have any connection with, the murders or anything like that. Then you have the FBI, because we didn't really know what was going on with the FBI. They were doing their own investigation per se, and like you said, you were like, nah, they're up to shady business. And now we know that they absolutely were up to shady business.
They sure are.
Yeah. And this is where in the beginning of chapter 24, Dresden really talks about his worry about his magic not working. Because apparently this is the first time it's ever happened. He's always like gotten some sort of magic response. Marcone isn't a wolf. He's a mobster boss.
Just talk about knives.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah, he said that his magic failing, but moreover him failing it, was more scary of the situation that was going on, which just means that he's never had it happen before, which is kind of crazy, because I would have assumed, like, learning magic and like early stages of training and stuff, he would have had failures. Like, he wouldn't have either been able to control it or maybe not gotten a response out of the magic. But I guess he was such a prodigy that never happened. This is the first time, according to him.
Yeah, I mean, he pushed something too far where innate ability was given out on him.
Which, it makes sense. But before he could really like think about it and mull it over, he kind of got snapped back to the reality of that everything around him. Which is funny that there was more gun, because the street. Well, I mean, it makes sense. The Street Wolves that came up were more shooting guns than like ripping people apart. But since they can't physically turn into wolf creatures, it makes sense that they're using guns. But like, there's guns, and Marcone and Hendrix can't turn into wolves, so they're shooting. And then you have these big Ben and Wilson, these big hulking wolves that are absolutely just tearing people apart. And there's just carnage everywhere. And except for Denton. Denton is still just
got his Uzi out, and he's just blasting people.
We don't know if he can change yet, but he's blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. So there's a line here, and I guess it's mostly because it's to add to the chaos of what's happening. it says Denton reached into his jacket for a fresh clip for his Uzi. I saw something across his belly that I noted for future reference. Should I have any future? No idea what it is. No idea. That's all it said. I actually had to reread that twice because I was like, did I miss something? What is it talking about? But no, it's just it's no, it's that Jim Butcher crumb that we love so much. But also, I feel like it adds to the chaos because like of everything. Because it's also not well lit in this garage, so I feel like the moments of gunfire we get like very quick flashes of light and images of
not like
what's going on.
Massive detail, but yeah, there's definitely like the huge gunfight, and then it was kind of even confusing how Marcone and his big man, they hop into the truck, they're blasting their way out of there, and they just drive out. So I mean, they got out unscathed, it sounds like, but geez,
they did. They got out of there quick. I want to say, oh yeah, okay, I don't remember where it is in here. So the order might be off, but Denton absolutely obliterates Lana, empties like a full Uzi into her just laying on the ground. There's also a bit about Lana eating unsavory bits in a previous section that I'm just now remembering. I forgot about that. It was a threat that Parker gave Dresden. She's crazy. Anyway, so all that's going on. Dresden, like you said, Marcone and Hendricks make their getaway in a car that's in there, or truck or whatever. Which it's a truck because Hendricks is sitting in laying in the bed.
I just imagine
firing off shotgun blasts.
He's got that little shotgun, and he's like the entire bed.
Yep,
just firing.
You know, I actually picture he's an Ogren. That's what I'm picturing. That's big exactly Ogren sitting in the back.
Big boy.
I love him so much. He's great. But yeah, Dresden's hiding here, and then he feels. I guess there's like. It's a garage, but it's not all concrete. Yeah. I guess there's like some dirt around the edges.
It's cracked ground right there, and yeah, it's kind of falling apart.
Oh, that's what it is. Yep. And he feels like something digging underneath him, and he's just like, "Great, what now?" And he sees a paw coming out from the dirt and like getting frustrated, trying to get the gravel out of the way. And I'm like, I immediately am like, that's not like. Anyway,
yeah, all the bad guys seem to be in front of him, and yeah, I'm like, who's this now?
Yeah, and he says, "Dig." Dresden says, "Dig this," and smack. Oh, because he found a toolbox. So he has this big wrench, and he smacks the paw with a wrench, and he hears a whimper, and it like kind of recede, and the paw comes back. He smacks it again, and then he hears Tara's voice, and he hears, "Wizard, stop that!" And then he's like, "Tara, what?" And she's like, "You are the only man I've ever met who would smash the paws that are trying to free him from certain death." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." See, because I was like, immediately, I thought it was Tara.
Yeah, I thought it was Tara too, but I mean, it's little Cub Scouts.
Yep. She says, "I'm going to tell them to dig again. Do not strike their paws." And he's like, "Who is they?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's her cubs. It's her cubs. And they dig him out. Well, they dig, and he can start to see them, and then he hears whimpering, and they recede. Oh, I think this is where Lana takes her demise. Anyway, he hears Denton say, "Oh, it's her. Rogers got her outside." So now we kind of piece together like, oh, Rogers, which is the redhead kid, has them cornered on the outside. So Dresden is just like, "Nope, coming out there," and he starts digging out. Oh yeah, and then Denton also says, "Damn it, the wizard knows too much. Wilson, go help Roger." Oh, I forgot about this. This scene made me very uncomfortable.
This is real.
I'm gonna be honest. This was real grody.
This just gets you the idea, though, that they're losing their natural minds to this primal brain.
Yes.
Whatever is
Absolutely.
doing.
Absolutely. Full beast. Those darn... Yeah, right? Bad dog. Ben says to Denton, what about me, lover? Even the lover, I was just like, ew.
Like, oh
Um,
no. It was like I kind of like, oh
yeah,
okay, and then some stuff happens, and you're like, oh stop, please, oh no.
yeah. I'm not gonna get into it a whole lot, but yeah. She's
Gore.
like, you and I stay here. I'll cover the doors, flush them out towards me, and then she kind of gets this hunger, losing humanity. Yeah, exactly. They're just losing their humanity. She gets this hungry look, and she's like, "No, you change too. You know you want to." And it's just like, and then Parker, I think it's the taste of blood. Also, this is where it really like the taste of blood is like what drives them, I guess. We'll get more a little bit details in a bit, but Parker um, attacks one of them, and then they all change. And Parker tried to fight them. There were flashes of blood, and he screamed again and went still. That's all I'm going to get into. But it gets a little grody,
They have a
and
moment.
it just yeah. And like you said, it shows them succumbing to the beast and losing their humanity. And Dresden's like, nope, taking my escape. Because he's also like Dresden being is kind of almost like hypnotized by it. Like he can't stop looking. But he also said like if he had anything in his stomach, he would be ejecting it everywhere. Like it was that kind of like um that sort of fascination, and like can't like look away. Eventually he's like, nope, I gotta get out of here. And he digs his way out of the hole.
And in that,
Um,
Parker gets yummed up by them.
oh yeah, Parker's dead. Yeah, he's
Super
absolutely
dead.
devoured. Very, very much like the way that Spike's crime scene was just like described to us. So we know who the killers are for at least Spike. Um, at least we assume. Um, so Dresden comes out of digs his way out of the hole to Tara, responding with, "You took your time, wizard." And we've got a big dog, or one of the it's Roger. We know it to be Roger. We got a big hound or a big wolf here, much like Ben and Wilson were, and even Den at this point. Um, and he's surrounded by Tara, naked, holding two pipes, and a bunch of smaller wolves around him, which we know to be her pups. Um, and then she tells him go help McFinn, but
He's like, oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's like, I need Tara. I need answers. I think I have the answers, but I need to confirm answers. So Dresden's out of power. We know this. He's exhausted. He can't use magic.
But he's a magi and he has knowledge and he's got to use it.
And knowledge is power, and with power comes responsibility. That I was like, yes, thank you, Jim Butcher, for adding those lines into the book. So he jumps on the wolf, jams the wrench into the wolf's mouth, and shoves his hand into the fur. Which, like, the whole time is like, well,
that's lofty. I
he's
mean,
dead.
yeah.
Like,
All right.
Everything we know so far, this is not going to go well for you. But okay.
Then you see what he's actually after. He starts fumbling around on a buckle.
Well, not yet, because this is where the chapter ends.
Yeah.
If I had to stop reading here, I was like, what? No, that's too much cliffhanger. Thankfully, I didn't have to stop. I kept reading. But yes, he fumbles for a buckle. He feels a buckle in the fur, and immediately I was like, oh, that's what he saw on Denton. And he fumbles with the buckle, unclips it, and abruptly the wolf pelt was. This is kind of like, in my mind, it sounded kind of gross, but the wolf pelt belt was sliding out from beneath the gray suit of Roger Harris. The fur like fell away into skin or something. It was very like
very instantaneous.
Movie? It was. It was like a quicker version of well, just like the old school werewolf movies, where like when they revert back to the human form, the or the fur falls off, and it's like he's not bleeding, but there's just like skin attached to it.
That's kind of grody, yeah.
Man, sounds kind of grody. Anyway, he reverts to his Roger Harris form, his little.
This one I find kind of interesting because like Tara is like naked, you know, doing whatever she's doing, and like her Cub Scouts, they end up, you know, they're naked when they change back. However, the Roger Harris belt comes off, suit. He's in a suit still. He's still in his clothing and all.
Oh yeah, like the fur slides off, but like only from where his skin is exposed. Yeah, you're right. The suit's still there. Which is a good point. That is very interesting. They are the only ones that actually has happened to so far. Because we got the visual of the Loop Guru in that one's more
he busted like his pants right off.
yeah he blinked. The Roger Harris was stunned, blinking, stunned, amused, with blood in his mouth and lips. And Dresden says, "Hexen wolf jerk off," and we're like, now we know. There's the other, well, one of the other werewolf types.
I went down the whole list that he went through. Like, I love this.
We are, yeah.
I expected like the one kind or something, and now it's like, no, we got like all the different kinds.
We get all of them. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I thought that was so cool. And so the Hexen Wolf they're people who make pacts with specific strong like wizards or beings to have the ability to turn into wolves. And in this case, it's a belt that they like fiddle with or whatever. But he's still, Harris like reached into his jacket, not for the belt anymore, but for his gun. And Harry said, "Oh no, you don't." Grabs him by his big Dumbo ears and starts smashing his head into the ground over and over until he stops struggling. Very Hulk, Iron Man go to sleep moment for me, but he said, "Bad enough for the bloodthirsty animals roaming all over the street. I didn't need more of them on my team." Oh, and this is where we kind of get a moment where Harry's talking to Tara and whatnot, and they being Tara and her cubs, want Roger. They're like, no, Roger's hurt one of, or I think two of theirs. They're not dead, but they are hurt, and it's their custom, I guess, is like, no, this person has hurt one of ours. He is now ours. We take him. Yeah. We're killing him. And Dresden's like, killing him isn't going to solve anything. He's like, it's our ways. Like, that's not how we do things. But eventually Dresden convinces them, is just like, okay, that like, he convinces them by like, okay, you kill him, I kill you. Like, straight up. That's it. We're not killing him. And she eventually is like, okay, well, I'll accept your ways. And then he's like, we need a way out. And excuse me. Tara's like, all right, Georgia, go get the car. And we get to see Georgia switch back. So the she-wolf shivered and went still, her head bowed, and then she shook herself, and all the plain brown hair faded from paler skin. She also like, I didn't highlight this, but she like went around in like circles or something.
Yeah, kind of like a dog, like, so a dog circling, you know?
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting because like it falls back to circles being or can be a really powerful part of spells. So I figured it was kind of like her casting a spell essentially to revert back to her human form. So a much more tame version of the transformation, because like the belt was very abrupt. The Loop Guru was very abrupt and very visceral, I guess. But this one doesn't seem like as brutal. I don't know. That's just how I took it. I don't know if I read it wrong or if that makes sense. But that's just kind of what I saw.
Focusing.
Yeah. That's, and then she popped back into the Georgia that Dresden saw in the warehouse. and she went off to go get the van. At this point, we get some answers. He, I think actually, no, I think all of them left at that point. Am I misremembering that? Because I don't think Tara or any of them stayed for questioning.
I'm not sure if it was before or after. So, because I think he questioned him before they. Oh.
Okay, maybe. Because it would make sense.
Because they were gonna kill him afterwards, and he's like, "Nah, we're not." And then he tells him like, "Yeah, you're gonna send Denton a message."
Yeah. So this is So he questions, Roger. I love how he wakes him up. He just like slaps him repeatedly until he actually wakes up. He's like, "Come on, wake up, wake up." And Dresden pretty much has all the answers. This is more just like a confirmation for some of the small details.
Let's make sure I got this right.
Yeah, and at this point we learn obviously they're Hexenwolves. He doesn't know. Roger doesn't know where the belts came from. Apparently, Denton was the only one who handled that. So I guess whatever deal he made with whoever, Denton's really the only one who knows that, or at least Roger doesn't know. They originally did. It was very much like vigilante justice, or it is or was intended to be vigilante justice. Denton. The whole point of this was to get criminals that were untouchable off the street, to bring them justice, like Marcone that is untouchable.
Yeah. Well, specifically Marcone is like, that was their big goal, was to take him out, because that's the only way to get to him. He is too well connected, right. And they had multiple cases that got thrown out against him.
I don't know if it's a personal reason. They didn't say, but
they
I
didn't
don't know
say
if there's a personal reason.
But
because in the first book, that was it was a personal reason that they wanted Marcone. What was the Beckett's? I think two. Yeah, why they wanted Marcone gone.
Killed.
Right, but according to this, Denton just wanted to. I guess he maybe was just tired of criminals just walking free and stuff like that. But either way, that was their point. However, the beast part, the bloodlust, wasn't. They weren't ready or expecting it. And he even said that Agent Ben was reaching. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Dresden said, "You guys are Hexen wolves." Even back when Agent Ben was reaching into her jacket to touch her belt to tear Murphy apart, changed her mind and went for her gun. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. That's so cool." But yeah, Denton had all of them come together. That's how we got all of them. That was the main goal, was Marcone, to get him. Denton wanted to take him down specifically. But the belt and the beast made them just like crazed animals. They couldn't control it. At first, they killed some drug dealers or something. I think some drug crime, whatever, very low.
Yeah, and they were just gonna stop him too. They were like, "We're just gonna like beat him up, rough, like stop him." And they we couldn't control it. Nope, we just ran in there. We just killed him.
Nope, they just went in there and absolutely destroyed it. I guess he also said that they were gonna kill Marcone and blame it on the street wolves. I forgot to add that part.
Oh, they were gonna blame it on McFinn because so they went in and broke all his stuff.
Right.
And then the street wolves were gonna take out Dresden because they sent him there.
Right. Sorry.
And that would just be like adding to the fire, like take out this other group, of wolf-like people that did it. So I mean, cut case. Like nobody's gonna look into that. Boom, done.
Yeah. But then the thirst got too much, and they they killed some innocent people. And at that point, Denton took away the belts actually from them to try and control them. Excuse me. Am I getting ahead of myself? I think I am. Yes. He said, Roger said that just to kind of give a comparison of how bad the blood desire was. He said he did cocaine he did coke in college once, and it's nothing compared to the blood. And I was like, wow, okay, that's intense.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He also said in referencing the first killings of the criminals, he said, "And my God, Dresden, it was beautiful."
Like, yeah,
That's also
he's
really
losing
extreme.
it. Like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. And so they're the ones who broke into McFinn's house and actually damaged the circle.
Well,
He
he
said there's a
said
bunch of occult stuff and it messed it up.
they had somebody. They don't. He don't say who it was, but they had somebody that helped him do that. Like, knew about it.
Did they?
Yeah. So they had some third party person help him in some way. They don't. They briefly mention him, and they don't.
Oh, well, it says, I think, so it says Denton, the kid said, it was all him. He said there was someone else we could also set up to take the blame. To be certain he's just talking about McFinn setting up.
Yeah, when they break the stuff,
Um,
he mentions that there's another person. I believe.
That's when we went after the slimy business partner. I missed that part. Okay. But that's so when they killed the innocent people, that's when Denton, I guess, is the only person who really got he seems to be the one with the most restraint, because even when Ben was like, "No, do the change," he was like, "No,
oh, that's not
like,
what
I shouldn't." Yeah.
The more you use it, that's what they said in the report, right? The more you use it, the more you lose.
Yep. Yep. And he said when Denton took away the belts, he said poor Ben was so far gone, it was like she wasn't even human anymore. Which, I mean, to be fair, she is the most crazed one we've seen so far, so it makes sense that her withdrawals were really bad. He even said that Wilson wasn't much better.
Yeah.
And then he confirmed, yeah, you killed Marcone's bodyguard, Spike. And they said, yep, that was us. Yeah, and then it's almost like delusional. Roger goes into saying that it was their responsibility to use this for good. It's like, you literally just was talking about killing an innocent person with it. Yeah. It's like, you should be responsible, but you can't.
Yeah, and then set up Marcone for like all this stuff that he didn't technically do instead. Like, it's not like this roundabout way.
Yeah, he says like McFinn has never killed anyone, and Dresden says, he says, hell, he's a murderer now, isn't he? After the scene at the police station, anyone would be convinced he is a killer. And Dresden says, except me. McFinn would never have been there if you hadn't messed up the circle that held him. And Roger's just like, yeah, and it's I'm done. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Little butthole.
Oh, sorry, he doesn't close up that point, but he just kind of like shrugs it off, like, well, that
like,
I don't agree with it.
Oh, it's fine. We're doing whatever we think. Like, we're killing people. You're doing all this terrible stuff, and he's just rationalizing it like it's nothing. Like, oh, bad.
And enjoying it. Yeah, they were doing it and enjoying it, absolutely. And then this just confirmed exactly what you said. Dresden asked why the Street Wolves. I said instead of shooting him, why send me to check them? And Roger says, Denton figured they'd kill you. Exactly what you said. They said the FBI sent him because they figured he would just die. Collateral damage is fine. Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what he's saying. It's like, it's for the greater good. Like, yes, we killed some innocents, but we're also getting scum off the streets. It's like, whoa, okay, you're very delusional. Oh yeah, and then so he Dresden asks, like, well, what about tonight? And Roger says, so we plan to hit on the Street Wolves and go down tonight before McFinn went after Marcone. And Dresden's like, whoa, hang on. How did you know about that? Roger's like, Marcone told us. He called, the snake called asking for police protection. And Dresden was like, did you get it? Or did he get it? And Roger's like, hell no. We didn't give him protection. And I feel like at that point, Dresden was like, well, okay, at least you guys were smart enough to do that, I guess. But I thought that was funny. And that's when Roger, like, just kind of shuts down. And like you were saying earlier, Dresden tells him, like, we'll give Denton a message for me. Oh, God, I thought my phone died. And essentially, unless I'm misremembering any of it, essentially the message was just meet me at where was it? It's going down somewhere. Like, if you want to settle this, meet me at the place. Oh, Marcone's place. Tell him that he'll get his shot at me at moonrise at Marcone's place.
So they are setting up the showdown.
Yeah, which I'm kind of surprised he chose Marcone's place. I mean,
that's where McFinn is going anyways. So like,
yeah,
that's where it's all gonna come. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and Roger's just like, why tell me? Why warn us? And he's like, because I don't like what you're doing. And then Roger and Dresden starts to go to leave, and Roger's like, but my belt, very much my precious. He's like, I need my belt. And Dresden's like, forget it. No.
Okay, bro. No,
get out of here, kid.
I'm getting your murder belt. Gee.
Yep. Moonrise, I told him, then turned on my heel and walked quickly from the alley. Although my soaked foot on the gravel combined with my limp probably spoiled the badass image. And I was like, yes. No, Dresden, you're always badass. Yeah, because Tara's still here. Tara says, oh yeah, because I forgot to add this. The whole time they were talking about the animal and like what the animal wanted and the blood hunger, I guess, like they needed blood. Tara said, "You were wrong, wizard." And he's like, "What do you mean?" She says, "They have not become animals. Animals kill to eat, to defend themselves or their own, and to protect their territory, not for joy, not for the lust of it." She looked back up at me. "Only humans do that, wizard." And I was like, wow.
Boom. Yep.
Wow. Then it closes out, "Will you try and help my fiance?" And he says, "I will try, but I can't let his curse claim any more lives." She nodded her head, her eyes dark. He would want it that way. He thinks of others before himself. And Dresden says, "He sounds like a good man." I thought like that was really, really funny. It was a nice touch. It gave you a little bit more. And then the FBI. Oh yeah, she asked like, "Will the FBI try and stop you?" And he's like, "Yes." And when they do, and he says, "When they do," I said, "when they do, I guess I'm gonna need to get very human." I was like, yes, Dresden's gonna pop off.
Hopefully.
God, what a crazy couple chapters though. There was so much happening. Like you said, it was almost like you could miss things, like how Marcone and Hendrix got into the truck and things, like how that exactly happened. There was so much little detail in there that could have been very easily missed.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like I had to read it a couple times just to make sure I'm not love that very human. I know, right? It's so good. Yeah, it was chaotic, but not. I don't want to say it was just like too hectic, but I think it added to the feel of just all the chaos of just things happening so quickly. I think it was very well written.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's probably one of my favorite chapters so far. Well, technically, I think that was 2 chapters of action, but either way. Oh yeah, okay. I was like, where do we go from here? I don't remember. Yeah, so we roll into. Do you want to add anything else before we get to the next chapter?
No.
I know it was a lot of stuff. I just.
No, I think we hit all the things that I touch on.
I really did like the description of the Cubs, and we got to we don't really know what Tara is.
Yeah,
what
Tara is
still
a question mark. So we still haven't seen her in her beast form, like she mentioned. He'll say still hasn't seen her as a beast. And we got the Cubs, and they're all changed back, and they're all climbing into the van now. So they're gonna head out, and they're all wearing these dress robes, and he's grateful that they're wearing dress robes because he doesn't want to see a bunch of lanky naked kids just.
So I have that highlighted. where was it? Oh yeah, it's right here. So yeah, they make their way back to the van. Who, Susan's driving the van. Funny enough, I think it actually says it's.
Hey.
Oh yeah, it's here in a second. Yeah, Susan's here. But yeah, he said that the all the alphas were dressed in plain dark bathrobes rather than their birthday suits. I felt an odd, grateful feeling towards them for it. Things were weird enough, and I was like, yeah, thank you, good. Yep. I didn't want that, described to me, so thank you. But yeah, she's there, and he's like, what are you doing here with these people? And she being Susan responds, driving. I was the only one old enough to rent a van. And then Dresden winced and says, ouch. And she's like, tell me about it. And I was like, yes. That's so funny. But yeah, they all pile in the car, and Tara knows where a place to like recuperate and gear up, and Dresden's like, no, food first. I need food. So they go through the drive-through of some burger place, and I love the just mental image of all these werewolf beings in the back seat just chomping down on Burger King or whatever, and Dresden and Susan and Tara. I think Tara's still naked as well, but Tara there eating just fast food in silence. Well, they do talk a little bit here, but it's a very cool. Do all wizards wear burger crowns? That's true. Yeah, he did put a burger crown on as well.
I love that.
Oh, and he did. So Dresden, like in between eating and stuff, he asked Tara why her blood was at Marcone's restaurant, and she responded with she knew Marcone was out for. Mom is taking the kids to McDonald's. It's very much like after soccer, like a soccer game, where they're taking all the kids to McDonald's or something and getting burgers. I felt like it was very similar to that, but they were just fighting werewolf creatures instead. It was a very funny mental picture. But yeah, Tara knew that someone was going to be after Marcone, and they were after Finn, so she was going to go there to stop them by herself, and that's when she said, like, you've never seen me in my true form. I think it was here. But she saw the killers, realized how strong they were, and so she made her escape to get out. Yeah, and she left before she could get killed. And then Dresden asks, what about these kids? And Tara says, they're children, but with strong hearts. They wished to learn, and I taught them. Let them tell you their story. And Dresden's like, maybe later. We don't have time for story time. But it was funny. I thought it was funny. Yeah, they're just, she says they're just children. She also doesn't answer, at least I feel like she doesn't answer questions directly. It's always like a roundabout way with Tara. I feel like she feels like she's answering the question, but I feel like I have more questions from her answers. So, but anyway. Where was this? Oh yeah. So then he was asking Tara, like, I think she asked him, like, what's the plan? What are we doing? And she says we're taking a safe place. And then Tara says, I'm going to be there right there with you when you go to Marcone's. And Dresden's like, no. And she's like, yeah, I am. You're going to have to kill me to stop me. And he's like, okay, whatever. And then he asks flat out to her, who are you? And she says, one who has lost too many of her family already. And that's when I was like, damn it, Tara, you didn't answer anything. Nope. I have more questions.
No answer.
And Dresden mimics us. He's like very mock, and then she like sinks back in her chair to silence and to like show that she's done with the conversation. And Dresden's just like, me. One who has lost so many, me, mocking her. And then he says, and she like chuckles from it. And then he says, put some clothes on you. Well, he doesn't say it directly to her. He's just muttering to himself. But he says, put some clothes on, you weird yellow-eyed, table-dancing, werewolf training, cryptic, staring me right in the eyes and don't even blink, wench. And she kind of like silently laughs to herself. That was so funny.
That's a good one. Great line.
I loved that whole interaction. It was so good. And then, yeah, they just drive on. Let's see, where else was it? they're kind of just driving on. He's looking at the kids and kind of just thinking about them. And then they pull up to this house that's, it's not like McFinn level, like mansion style, but it's still a really nice neighborhood from what it sounded like. And he's just like, where are we? And George was like, oh, it's my parents' house. They're gone for a week or something in Italy, so we can use it. I'm just like, what? Who are these preppy teenage werewolves? But oh, and then they're like, Dresden said like, are you sure they're okay with us holding a party? And she's like, yeah, as long as we clean up the blood. It's like, okay, not the first time. Yeah, not the first time. Then we get another interaction, which I really love. But they're piling out of the van. There's two. So there's of the Cubs. There's Georgia, Billy, and one other male that's not injured, and then there's two injured, I believe. So there's 5 total, if I remember and was counting correctly. But Billy stays behind to talk to Dresden. This whole interaction was very interesting because it showed just like it. I feel like it showed most, if not all, of what the kids were feeling and like their state of being. But Billy stays behind and questions Dresden. I think the first question was like, oh yeah, the first question was, do all wizards wear crowns, or is this a special occasion? And he just like tears it off, and he's like, do all werewolves wear glasses and too much Old Spice, or is that only on full moons? He's like, ooh, you're quick, he said. I always wanted to be that way. And then he sticks out his hand. I'm Billy Borden. Yeah, huge amount of cologne, exactly. Very teenage style, right? Heavy on the deodorant. But yeah, then they have this whole interaction where like Billy wants to know what the plan is, and just kind of like flatly lays out like, well, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm gonna stand up to him. Like, this is what we're gonna do. Dresden also says, good grief, the Mickey. Oh well, first off, Billy nodded and pushed his glasses up higher. Then you need our help, is what he said initially. And Dresden responded with, oh good grief, the Mickey Mouse Club of Werewolves. It's like, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, he's just what did I mess up on words?
You said cologne. She said courage and integrity from Billy.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Courage, cologne. It's the same. Right? Yeah, it kind of showed the innocence of a young kid in Billy, but also seeing the world the same but in a different perspective. I felt like he talked about like the vampires on the rise, the vampire craze sweeping the nation and stuff, and then he spit out a couple facts about the violent crimes and stuff. How violent crimes are rising.
Okay. Something kind of suspicious about it, and maybe supernatural. And I mean, he wanted to do something about it,
Yeah.
Heart's in a good place. I like.
That's true, Pi. I was actually probably projecting at a young age when I used a bunch of cologne as well and a spray. That's why I misread that word. Courage for cologne. But no, Christy's absolutely right as well. The amount of courage and integrity that Billy has, because it definitely shows through it. And like you said, excuse me. And he says someone has to do something. I can, so I should. And it's just like I feel like it's just the bluntness of kids, or some kids. It's just like they say how it is, and you're like, well, I mean, you're not wrong, but like when Billy's like, yeah, we're gonna come with you, and he's like, well, you can't. Like you'll be put in danger. You may lose your life. It's like, well, yeah, I know, but you might lose your life, and it would be better if we all together fought them instead of just you. And he's like, well, okay, you're right, but and eventually just accepts it. He's like, okay,
yeah. I mean, I think it's you got to
no.
All guns got to be firing, because I mean, like he said, if someone has to stay back to defend the 2 that are wounded, but if you guys get taken out, they're just gonna come take us out easy peasy. Like we're not gonna be much to them, so we got to take everybody we can and go all together.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. And this is when Georgia comes out, and Billy says, "We're going," and she's just like so excited, and she's like, "Yay!" and then hugs on him.
They have their
And then
moment.
they have that moment. Yeah, they have their moment where she lets her hand lay on his chest a little too long.
Oh, you got hurt. It's okay, baby.
And then yeah, you didn't tell me you got hurt. It's fine. It's not bleeding anymore. And Dresden says, "Please help me, young werewolves in love." And he just like leaves at that point. He's like, "No, I don't need to be here," and just starts leaving. But as he's leaving, he does have this moment where he says, "I don't believe in God," and he's like, "Well, that's not quite true. I believe that there was a God or something close to it. He knows that there's demons, and if there's demons, there has to be angels, right? And then if there's devils, well, there has to be a God. So he's kind of like having this like, not internal struggle per se, but just like him just kind of answering his own questions. And then finally he's like looking up above and he's like, well, if someone out there, please help us and make sure that we, don't let these kids die. Which was just kind of a interesting addition. And then he makes his way into the house, and that's the end of that chapter. I did really like seeing the innocence. Oh, he even said at one point, I don't remember. Oh, it's right here. Talking about Billy, it was comforting talking about like him being so blunt and open and the things that he was saying. It was comforting, and at the same time, it was the most frightening thing about him being Billy, his ignorance. No, not ignorance, really innocence. I thought it was just a really cool conversation, just to show both the innocence, ignorance, strength, and weakness of a kid.
Yeah.
So it's really well done. This next chapter might be a little too spicy for YouTube, so we're gonna go through it. He walks in. Because like at the beginning, right before Dresden's talk with Billy, Susan's like, "Come find me in 5 minutes or whatever," and he's like, "I found her in the bedroom by following her smell." And it's just like, okay.
Already, you're like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. She was wearing a T-shirt that said, "Eat it, I wouldn't sit on it," and he was like, "Yeah, it's one of mine."
Yeah.
It's one of my shirts. They had a moment where they were looking into each other's eyes. Oh no, I'm sorry. He looked into Susan's eyes, which is very uncharacteristic, like Dresden, because of the whole soul gazing thing. And he says that he actually soul gazed with Susan. I don't remember if he said that in the first book or not, but he soul gazed with Susan a year ago and she fainted. Did he say that in the first book?
I think he mentioned it.
I forgot about it then. Okay. But the things that he saw in her, and I again don't remember if he said this in the first book, was passion and the motivation to go, to do, to act. And that's what drove her as a journalist and made her so good he didn't say in journalism per se, but as digging up things, I think is what he said. Uncovering truths, things like that. It's what made her good at her job, essentially. Not safe for YouTube. Yes. Cover your eyes, everyone. Oh, then yeah, and then she's like, "We should go. Like, just come away with me. We should leave." And the emphasis that she put on "we," and apparently that was like the first time that she talked about them being a relationship, which his inner self actually talked about that. Like, what is Susan to him? What is Murphy to him? And now she's bringing it up, and then both of them seem to want to be closer with each other, but the work always got in the way, from what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, it's kind of like typical for a working couple in like story. You see it a lot in movies and literature and things like that. like a couple that is good together, but maybe like bad time because of work and things like that. So that's just kind of what I found. And then he found himself kissing at her. And then they got into some sensual acts.
Some sensuality. Szechuan chicken happened.
Sensual. She cleaned his wounds.
Cleaned him up.
And then did other things.
Then she... and
she did say to him,
give him a present, though, afterwards.
She does. I'm going to get to that because that's so cool. She also said to him, I don't know if I want to fall in love with you, Harry. I don't know if I could stand it. And then he was like, he didn't say it, but internally he was like, he didn't know if he could do the same from
whatever happened in the last time.
Yeah, which sounds like
broken. That probably that
like
one girl.
Elaine. Yeah. And he didn't say it, but that's kind of what I thought, and what I thought was implied. Oh yeah, okay. I don't remember the order of how things happened, but she says that I just wanted to remind you. Oh, this is afterwards, I'm pretty sure. I just wanted to remind you that there was something else in the world. And he says, he thinks I'm a pretty tough guy. I mean, look at me. And then he started crying, and she like holds him, and they have a very touching moment. Very, very touching moment. And then she gives him a bag of change of clothes, and bless her heart, ibuprofen. And then he gets dressed and everything. And then she gives him the gift. You go ahead and say the gift. So
she gives him a nice box. It's very heavy, and he's like, "Oh, all right, heavier than it looks." Opens it up, unfolds and pulls out a nice new duster with the same mantle, but with better, so similar to what his other jacket was, but made of better, nicer materials.
Yeah, much finer material. Yeah, and he even remarks that like this must have cost you a fortune, and she was like, "Yeah, but I got to walk around naked in it." And that was pretty cool. So I was like, nice. Oh yeah, okay, and that finishes like him dressing. Technically, she dressed him, but either way. And then he turns to like say goodbye to her, and then she's just getting dressed. And he's like, "Wait, where are you going?" She's like, "I'm coming with you." What do you mean? I'm driving. And she was like, "Besides, this could be the biggest paranormal event I have ever had the chance to cover. Did you expect me to stay behind?" And he was like, "Damn." And then I thought, "Damn."
Nice.
Oh, it's so cool.
Good.
And then she was like kind of remarking on how the duster, the mantle looked on him. And she was like, "Have you ever thought about growing a beard?"
Boom, and walked away. Like,
interesting.
Well, because he's starting to grow some, because he hasn't been able to shave for like 4 days. So he's starting to get a little scruffy, but not beard. Oh, yeah. Coming in.
Where do I sign up for wizard school, and the kind of service comes with that? Well, apparently somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what he remarked. But it does sound pretty nice, doesn't it? I thought this was actually really interesting too, because she walked out, then he starts to walk out, and he catches a glimpse of himself in the mirror, and he says that what was looking back at him from the mirror was my double. The one from my dream stared back out at me. Only the roughness of the 3-day growth of the dark whiskers, the bruises, and where the contrast of the we're at contrast with the trimmed beard. So he looked just like his double, except for the clean shaven beard, which I thought was it was interesting, because I feel like it was Jim Butcher telling us that Harry was becoming more of his better self, I think. Like, he wasn't, which we kind of even saw that earlier when he was when Marcone added the clause onto the deal that he would get Murphy out of that trouble, and he initially was like, "I must protect Murphy," and he's like, "No, she wouldn't want it that way, which was more like what the double was saying when he had that like conversation in his head.
It's true.
So I feel like it was a self growth. I think is the best way to put it. And this was just a cool way of kind of saying like Dresden's growing as a person.
True, Chris. Are we thinking of myself in a
Yeah,
better
that's
light?
very true. Yep, that's very true. And then the last word of the chapter, showtime. And end of chapter.
Good. What a great place to stop too, and just that's great.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. And we've got so many of the. Oh, thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate that. Thank you. Did you sub yesterday? It might be a late notification. I'm not sure. Yeah, you subbed yesterday as well. That may be a late notification, but still, thank you all the same. Yeah, what a like. It was almost exhausting, like going through all of that action and all of the carnage, the nonstop. I mean, even from the first chapter. Well, I say the first chapter, but the start of this section that we're reading, it was just nonstop go, with him rolling out of the car, blasting the tires out of the truck. But we got so many answers. Do we have any other questions that weren't answered?
Yeah, there's just really the one who gave him the belts, the lycanthrope.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Excellent.
Right. Because they would be the one that started it all then. Yeah. Because this all started because the FBI, because Denton wanted to dish out some vigilante justice and has just absolutely made a muck of it.
Yeah, and according to that report, or what Bob had explained to him earlier, that person's got to be pretty powerful.
Right, yeah, that's true. I don't remember if it can it be a wizard or can it be like Fey demigod level? I don't remember exactly what he said.
I don't know if it said exactly, but it could have been powerful sorcerer or maybe some, of that nature. Yeah.
It's got to be pretty powerful. And if that person's that powerful, then I would assume the White Council would know about them too.
Maybe.
Or
maybe it could be, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was one of my thoughts. Somebody on the council doing something around Dresden. Because, not all of them want him. What happened?
No. And maybe, this is just spitballing, maybe the person who did give them the belt did it because they would, I mean, it's a lot of trickle down effects, but maybe they thought it would directly lead to Dresden's death. I don't know.
Oh, hearsay.
Well, I assume, granted, this is assuming, that the person who Denton got the belt from is still in contact with Denton. So maybe they are pushing, maybe they're feeding them information. Like you said, actually, Denton said that they had someone on the inside that told them about McFinn. Maybe it was the person that gave him the belt. Because that would make sense too. We don't know. We'll find out though. How many chapters do we have left? I think we split it 7 and 7.
Yeah.
So we end at 32?
Mm-hmm.
No, 34.
7 and 7.
Oh, we have 6. Sorry, yes, 7. Yeah, 7 and 7. Yeah. We'll find out in the next 7 chapters. Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Oh, I'm hungry.
Dude, so am I. We're actually gonna make some chicken salad sandwich, so I'm looking forward to it. Real quick, next week, do we know? Want to do normal time?
Normal time.
Do we have to wait and see?
No, normal time.
So that'll be. Having said that, what is our normal time? Because we changed it up now. Do you want to do it what's your time?
It's 10 my time. Or
okay. So we'll do 1. Okay. Make it so. Thank you all for hanging out. Just to get it out of the way, all the good stuff. If you like this, we are doing a whole series on Dresden that we will do a book club stream every Saturday. If you like to join in, discuss it, or if you just want to be part of the community and hang out with us, you can join our Discord. There's actually a book club section that you can either suggest or talk about what we have gone over so far. Yeah. Xeno's channel is pinned up above. We also play I haven't made the schedule yet. We usually make schedules tomorrow, but we'll be streaming games this upcoming week, such as Path on Wednesday. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Path on Wednesday, Helldivers, and all sorts of good stuff. So come out, have fun, and yeah, thank you guys for hanging out.
Thanks, guys.
As always, take care.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye.